All right, in today's video, we're going to be discussing 4 key terms that you have to know for your real estate licensing exam. The first one is redlining. What is redlining? Well, redlining comes from what we call the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act of 1975. Now, as I said in a previous video, it's very important because you have to know the dates of these laws, because the real estate licensing exam loves to ask when certain laws were enacted. So the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act was enacted in 1975. So there is a possibility that question can be on your licensing exam. Number 2, the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act created a situation where redlining was declared discriminatory in nature, therefore it's illegal. Now, what is redlining? Well, the best way to describe it is you would walk into a bank prior to this law, and they would actually have a map on the wall of the bank. And there would be certain areas of town that literally someone took a red marker and outlined that area in that red marker. And within that area, the bank would not provide home loans to residents within that area. And what ended up happening is those redlined areas were high density population minority groups like African Americans, Latinos, etc. And so it was discriminatory practice that was legal and was done all the time by lenders until the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act was passed in 1975 and made it illegal. Now, the second key fair housing real estate term you have to know is what's called blockbusting. Now, blockbusting is the practice of persuading a homeowner to sell their property and sell their property cheaply, all right, because the fear of minority groups coming into the neighborhood or being in a nearby neighborhood. And so essentially what would happen is I would go knock on the door of a seller in a particular neighborhood. And I would say, hey, next door, the neighborhood next door has a lot of African Americans, Latinos, whatever the case may be, and they're starting to infiltrate into your neighborhood. And it's going to basically crash your market here, your market values. So I'll tell you what, let's get you out of your home before that happens. So I would offer to buy their property cheap, and then as soon as I closed, I would turn around and sell it for a higher price. And therefore, I would make a profit. So the key to remember to blockbusting is, number 1, I buy the property cheaper and then sell it for a profit at a higher price. That is the key to blockbusting. Now, the third fair housing term that we have to know for the real estate licensing exam is what's called panic peddling. Now, it looks somewhat like blockbusting, but there are some distinct differences. Remember, blockbusting is telling people minorities are moving in, then I buy the property cheap and then sell it for or resell it for a higher price, therefore making a profit. Now, panic peddling is where I, the agent, I would go to a homeowner, knock on the door and say, hey, by the way, just FYI, there's a lot of minorities moving into this neighborhood. Or another one that was used a lot is there's low-income housing coming into this neighborhood, and the residents of those low-income housing units are minorities. And if you don't move soon, your property values are going to plummet because of that. So let's get your property listed for sale. Let's sell it. Let's get you out of this neighborhood before you lose your equity when the market values tank. That is panic peddling. We are inducing that homeowner through panic that to sell their home. And oh, by the way, I'm a licensed real estate professional and I can help you do that. That is panic peddling. Now, the fourth and final key fair housing term you have to know is called steering. And steering is not really uncommon because steering is a situation that happens unintentionally. And many times steering happens with good intentions, but it's still illegal. And let me give you an example of where we would see steering in the sales side of real estate. So I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and statistically, according to the census, the largest population density of African Americans, they live north of Dodge Street and east of 120th Street. We call it North Omaha. That's just factual. So let's say that I'm a real estate professional and I am working with an African-American couple. They've already seen the lender. They got great credit. They qualify for $250,000. They have a VA loan. They're ready to go. They come to me and say, Paul, let's find me a house. So I only show them homes in North Omaha, only homes north of Dodge and east of 120th Street, because I just assume because they're African American, they're going to want to live in an African American community. So I assume. That is steering. Now, the way that we prevent that from happening is I find out what their financial situation is, how much they can afford and what type of loan, and then I just show them I just provide them the list of every home in Omaha that's for sale that was within the home loan criteria, and then let them tell me which homes individually they want to see. Now, where we see steering in the property management community is, let's say, for example, we have you're a property manager of a 100-unit apartment community, and this community does have a playground. And so you have 6, 7, 8, units for rent that are available because they're vacant. And you have a family with children that come in, and you just assume because this family has children, they're going to want to live on the ground floor next to the playground equipment. You just assume that. That is steering. You're basically assuming where they want to live. Now, how do we prevent that? You simply say, here are the 6, 7, 8 vacancies that we have in the community. Which one do you want to see? And that's how we protect ourselves from steering. When you get into the real practitioner of real estate, we're all about efficiencies anyways. So assuming anything in this industry is not good. Assuming where someone wants to leave, assuming that they're going to qualify for a loan. We never assume that. Let's get them over to a lender to see what they qualify for, if they qualify at all. We don't make assumptions. We do things based on fact. All right, so those are 4 key real estate terms. Again, steering, panic peddling, blockbusting, and redlining. Those 4 you have to know. Commit them to memory, because there's a high probability you're going to have those on your real estate licensing exam. All right, that's all I got for today's video. If you're going to continue your studies, check out this video on your screen. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Click on the little circle. I would appreciate that. We'll see you in the next video.